Hello, everyone. Ben Viter with you here today, and I hope you're having a very nice Saturday evening. And today I have a very special narrative to share with you. After you hear it, you may wonder if it's a dream or a prophetic vision, and we'll soon find out. Here we go. The title is Bright Light Blinds Noem. Despite the weather forecast of a overcast sky and possible showers, Noam decided to go jogging on the running path that extended 2 miles along the private residential area. Glancing at her watch, she realized she needed to end her run soon and prepare for her first official meeting of the day. Alongside her in a golf cart, two muscular assistants waved, one pointing at his watch in a gesture to remind Noam of her schedule. Noam waved back and decided to jog the last half mile before ending her run. I have time, she thought. Coming to a right curve on the path, she decided to step up her pace and build up to a final kick. Suddenly, at the apex of the curve, she was blinded by an intense flash of light from the sky. Totally disorientated, Noam fell to the ground and simultaneously heard a voice. Noam, Noam, why are you hurting me and the poor innocent immigrants? Trying to identify the voice and where it came from, she asked, Who are you? I am Jesus, whom you are hurting. Inasmuch as you have been hostile to the innocent immigrants, you have been hostile to me. Noam was trembling. She had never heard a voice so kind, yet so intense. It pierced deeply into her heart. By then, her assistants were at her side. Are you okay, Madam Secretary? One of them asked as they helped her up and walked her to the golf cart. Did you hear that voice? She asked them. We saw a flash of light and we heard a loud voice, but we don't know where it came from. It must have been from one of the speaker poles on the grounds. Okay, so I'm not going crazy. You heard it too, Noam said, feeling slightly relieved, though she was still worried. She had not yet told the men about the cloudy mist that covered her eyes. She was hoping it was a temporary flash blindness from the bright light she had seen. Pulling up to her housing unit, the driver waited for Noam to get off, but she hesitated. Things looked so hazy, she didn't think she could even find the front door. You know what? Maybe you should take me to the infirmary. I think I might need a checkup, just to make sure I didn't hurt anything when I fell. After checking her heartbeat and pulse, Dr. Bradley said, Now I'm going to examine your eyes with this special instrument. He held up something that looked like a metallic flashlight. It's called an ophthalmoscope. Leaning in closer, he pointed the instrument carefully to study the back of her eyes, her retina, optic nerves, and blood vessels. Well, Madam Secretary, there does seem to be a slight alteration to the optic nerve, which may account for your blindness after you experience that bright light. But this may just be a temporary condition. We really won't know until after about a week or so. I recommend that you go home now and rest up for the rest of the week. Avoid eye movement, and you do want to protect your eyes from further strain. Don't touch them. And I'll write you a prescription for eye drops to reduce the inflammation. Noam shook her head in disbelief. I can't take a week off. My department is right in the middle of a huge operation to. Dr. Bradley cut her off. Madam Secretary Noem, I know the immense scope of your work and how important it is to you. However, you have a serious condition, which, if you don't give it time to heal, could result in permanent blindness. Dejected and feeling rather forlorn, Noam went home that afternoon and sat in her living room for a long time. She recounted the words the strange voice had uttered. I am Jesus, whom you are hurting. Inasmuch as you have been hostile to the innocent immigrants, you have been hostile to me. Have we really been that hostile to immigrants, to those immigrants? She wondered. Then images flashed before her of the brutal tactics that some of her people had used to apprehend the immigrants, and she knew that not all of them were dangerous criminals. She had to admit the voice spoke the truth when it referred to them as innocent immigrants, which the majority of them were. For the next 3 days, Noam found it hard to eat or drink anything other than water. The emotional stress of having to face the moral reality of what the voice had revealed was almost too much to bear. She had always thought of herself as a strong, confident woman. Nothing could shake her. There was no crisis she couldn't handle. But the voice, though it was kind, was so sure and powerful. The words totally unraveled her. She tried to understand why that mysterious message was spoken to her, and she wanted to know more about the author of the voice. It had said, I am Jesus. Finally, on the second day of her blindness ordeal, she called and asked one of her assistants, Miriam, to find the Bible and bring it to her. She had heard Miriam talking about God often, so maybe she would know about Jesus, the voice who had spoken to her. That afternoon, that afternoon, a young woman with reddish hair knocked at her door. After hearing about Noam's experience with the bright light, Miriam smiled and said, Your story, Madam Secretary, is right here in the book of Acts. She flipped through the Bible pages and began reading chapter 9 of the book of Acts. After Miriam had read for a few minutes, Noam said, Stop, don't read anymore. This is scaring me. Miriam was puzzled by Noam's reaction after hearing only 9 verses from the Bible. But, Madam Secretary, you are a powerful woman in government. Why would you be scared? This is too unbelievable. How can this thing that happened to me, how can it be recounted in the Bible? I don't understand. After a long silence, she said, Please go. Leave me alone. Noam sat in her back patio that evening. The truth the voice had spoken made her examine the orders and instructions she'd given to her agents. Again, she started wrestling with her thoughts and rehashing all the things she was responsible for. The harsh treatment of the undocumented and documented immigrants, how they were raiding establishments, even arresting them on their way to work and while they were picking up their children at school. It was true what the voice said. They were hostile, even brutal in the manner in which they made the arrests, sometimes roughly throwing them to the ground and bruising their wrists as they handcuffed them. Up until now, she had felt immune to any guilt feelings or accountability for any immoral actions or lack of empathy. Her office encouraged the opposite. But that voice she'd heard not only asked her the question about her conduct towards God and man, it also, in a strange way, brought to light her morality and, in between the lines, questioned her concern and love for humanity and for the poor and needy immigrants. Whatever was happening at the time she heard the voice, it was still happening. Her heartbeat was accelerating, and she felt as if she needed to gasp for air. Oh God, I can hardly I can handle anything the news media throws at me, even the things the committee meetings hurl at me. But I can't handle this voice. She closed her eyes and wiped a tear with one end of her blouse. This voice must be of God. This voice must be of you, God. Who else can send such a blinding light, knock me down on the ground, and speak a direct message to me? Even my guards heard the voice, and they were more scared than I was. Exhausted from her mental and spiritual battle, Noem skipped dinner again and went to bed, hoping that sleep would erase the mental turmoil she was feeling and living. But the thought of being blind kept her awake most of the night, until sleep finally came to her tired mind and body, and she was blessed with a few hours' sleep. That night, she had a vision of a man coming to her home. She could see the man's name, Ben, but she couldn't remember the last name. In the vision, this man had put his hand over her eyes, and her sight had been restored. He had also said something she didn't understand. He said, "Receive the Holy Spirit." At 10 a.m. the following day, the gate security called Noem on her cell phone. "I'm sorry to disturb you, Madam Secretary, but there's a man here that insists we let him in, that you are expecting him. He says his name is Ben. Oops, wait, I just dropped his ID. Let him in." What was that, Madam Secretary? I said, "Let him in." Once Noam stepped Once Noam stopped resisting her supernatural experience, she started accepting the amazing parallel her life was following in unison with the book of Acts. Ben must have been an angel or a close friend of God. When he put his hands over her eyes and prayed, it was as if some tiny scales had fallen from her eyes and her eyesight had been fully restored. "Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Ben. I don't even know your last name, but thank you for your kind prayer. I can see again." "Well, you can thank God for this miracle. He's the one who spoke to me in a vision and told me what had happened to you, and that I should come and pray for you. And honestly, I was hesitant to come anywhere near you because I'd heard how you were arresting so many people. I didn't know if you'd be arresting me too. But the deity that spoke to you when you saw that bright light, he told me not to worry. He encouraged me and said I would be safe. And by the way, my last name is Fighter." Noam sat across the coffee table from Ben and stared intently at him for a couple of seconds. "Mr. Fighter, why do you think God allowed or did this to me? Do you think there's something he wants to do? Do you think there's something he wants to do? Do you think there's something he wants me to do now?" Ben nodded his head and said, "I'm sure there is, Madam Secretary. God does not interact with humans in such a direct and personal manner unless he has a mighty special plan for them, something important he wants them to do." The man and the woman sat motionless for several minutes. Neither of them wanted to break the reverence of the moment. Finally, Ben broke the silence. "I really must go now. Um, I've accomplished my mission, and you're all better now. Your eyesight has been restored." Wait, do you know what it is that he wants me to do? Madam Secretary, that is something that you are going to have to ask God for yourself. Noem felt light and relaxed. She was sure she'd be having a good sleep that night, and deep in her heart she knew what God wanted her to do. At least she knew what the first part of the plan was, and she would not hesitate. First thing tomorrow, I know what I have to do. Monday, 8 a.m. Good morning, Madam Secretary, said her office assistant. There's a briefing for you from the President and several memos and documents that need to be signed. Thank you, Heather. Can you please bring me some coffee and come into my office? I need you to type a letter of resignation for me. Right away, Madam Secretary. May I ask who's going to resign? Me. Heather coughed and cleared her throat. I'm sorry, Madam Secretary, did you say you are going to resign? Yes, I did say that. Now please get my coffee and come in my office. Monday, 10 a.m. Oval Office. Good morning, good morning. And how's my favorite Secretary of Homeland Security? I've never felt better in my life, Mr. President. Noem walked boldly up to the President's desk and placed an envelope in front of him. The inscription on the envelope read, Resignation. The President's eyes widened. Ho, ho, ho! Another one of my cabinet members bites the dust. Who is it this time? He asked as he opened the envelope. What? It's you? You can't resign. I refuse to accept your resignation. With that, the President tore the letter in half and threw it in a trash can beneath his desk. Okay, so let's get serious and let's stop all this nonsense now. There's work to do. We've got some big, beautiful projects on the table waiting for us. Taking a, taking a folded envelope from her pocket, she again placed it on his desk. I knew you'd be doing that, Mr. President, so I signed an extra copy. And I am sorry for such short notice, but I have a higher calling now that I need to attend to right away. Having said that, Naomi turned and headed for the door. Noem, the president shouted after her, if you leave now, you'll never be able to come back here again, and you won't be able to find a job anywhere else in the country. Noam turned and smiled at the president. Bye, she said. Have a nice day. And that's the end.